Who overturned the stop payment
Kasi ang
policy?
kagandahan kasi sana ng Mr. Chair, dahil marami na nag-aabuso at right and left na, at dahil puso ng bawat doktor at ospital ang Philhealth, the stop payment hurt them to the core. At marami ang lumapit at ang kanilang sinabi, okay, we're going to negotiate, we're going to stop fraudulent claims, we're going to align with the mandate of the Philippine Health Insurance, basta ipagpatuloy nyo na kami. And then nagkaroon ng mga settlement na kumbaga may fines, wala ng kaso, hindi na gagamitin yung mga abogado para pahirapan yung PhilHealth. And that was good. So my question is, why would you overturn something that was helping your institution? And now you start talking about reforms, about cleansing PhilHealth, pretending that you can implement universal health care? My God, that's next to impossible. How can you implement universal health care if you insist and persist to be blind and deaf to what is happening around all of you? So, Mr. Chair, may I request that PhilHealth produce documents that overturned the reforms that I initiated with huge and extreme difficulty in PhilHealth. Napakahirap po, Mr. Chair. Wala po akong sinabi ng mga nakaraang panahon, but my experience as chairman of the board was very difficult. First, board resolutions were not being headed to. Minsan hindi pa pinapasa, nagiging bulag-bulagan at naiipit at pilit na winawala. It is not true na takot sila sa board resolutions, just like what they are saying and pointing to in the case of the senior citizens, because our experience actually points to the fact that many of our decisions, lalong-lalo na yung mga resolution related to fraud, being approved and passed by the board, ay hindi po pinapasa. Hahalungkatin mo pa yung bawat opisina, pupunta ka pa ba sa kababaan-babaang opisina at hahanapin mo only to find out na, oops, hindi pala in-implement. Ang isasagot sa iyo, ay, ma'am, hindi po nakarating sa opisina namin ang resolution niyo. That can be proven, Mr. Chair, if you look at the reckoning dates by which board resolutions and reforms on PhilHealth were passed, approved by the board, but remained unimplemented. So my next question, Mr. Chair, yung pong ino-audit na ang PhilHealth, right and left po na sinasabi, yung pera ng PhilHealth at yung pera daw ng senior citizens na 10.6 billion was diverted to DOH. Nagulat po ako because it's a big lie. May I inquire from PhilHealth if indeed there was entry of 10.6 billion to the coffers of PhilHealth? Can somebody from the finance department of PhilHealth or somebody from the legal office answer the question?
Sako, you can reply to that.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, good evening. Based on record of PhilHealth, Your Honor, wala ho kaming natanggap na sinasabi ni Congressman Garrett na 10.6 billion, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, kung wala naman pala kayong natanggap, why is it that some of you here who are present here now kept on pointing to a 10.6 billion fund that was diverted from PhilHealth to DOH? Bakit pilit na gumagawa kayo ng mga kasinungalingan para pagtakpan ang mga pinaggagawa ng iilan?
Would you know in particular who came out with a statement on that?
John Basa. I also saw Ish in many of the meetings in Senate and even here. And in fact, they had presentations to the board, explaining to the board na kaya walang pondo yung Philhealth kasi dinivert daw sa DOH. Naniwala naman yung presidente during that time, si Dr. De La Serna, and their attention were diverted to issues that were actually non-existent. And that was why
I'm sorry, Dr. Vargas was quoted as saying that the 10.6.
he was present in those meetings and during the times that the allegations, and I think he was the one who was always at the side of Dr. De La Serna.
But it was Dr. De La Serna.
The whole board was made to believe that it was inexistent, and during that time, I don't know, maybe like the people who were feeding the board wrong information ended up being promoted, Mr. Chair. Konsensya na po nila yun kung hindi nila aminin kasi makikita na naman bakit yung iba dito ay nagkaroon ng mabilisan na promotion. And now some of them are senior vice presidents. Anyway, Mr. Chair, I just brought that out in the open because that is how strong the real mafia is. Kaya nilang gumawa ng kwento, kaya nilang magkunyari na may perang pumasok, kaya nilang magsabing may mga legal na basihan maski wala, at kaya nilang mag-implement ng batas maski hindi pa batas. Simply said,
Quick interjection. Magkano yung pondo ninyo for media, for PR? We all have that. I was in housing, I had that. In the other agencies, I had that. Magkano yung pondo ng Philhealth sa media? For PR. Mr. Dimsiako?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, sorry po, wala pa akong figure dito.
More or less. 300 million, 500 million, 1 billion?
Your Honor,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, who is talking? Can I?
this is Vice President Shirley Domingo. I'm handling the Corporate Affairs Group at the moment.
Yes, VP Domingo, go ahead.
Yes, sir. For this year, we have around 20 million for our budget for advertisements, prints. Around 20 million po for this year.
20 million.
Yes, sir.
Yun lang ho ang budget nyo for advertising?
Yes, sir, for this year.
Last year po, magkano po?
I think it will be around. That, but the year before that it was around 70+ million. That would be around 2 years ago. But this was brought down for several reasons. Therefore, it would be around 22 million last year and this year.
Salamat po.
I'm sorry, sir. I haven't the exact amount now, but it will be around that.
Opo, salamat po. Salamat po doon. Okay, Congressman Galing.
Mr. Chair, when Dr. Ish Vargas was the spokesperson, maybe he would know how much the budget was allocated for ads. Di ba, meron ka pong TV program? You had a TV program before, you had ads and campaign. Magkano po ba yun?
Mr. Chair, Madam Congresswoman, I don't remember po, but we can provide.
Yeah, can you check if it reached around 400 million?
Mr. Chair, Madam Congresswoman, we will provide for the details.
Okay.
400 million, Honorable Galing?
Maybe we can, he was the spokesperson, he was having
Yes.
these TV programs, and siguro naman yung intention is, yeah, Mr. Chair, another question. Di ba kasi paulit-ulit natin naririnig walang pondo yung PhilHealth. At paulit-ulit din kami nananawagan. Why is it that PhilHealth is renting expensive offices in malls? Kasi matagal ko nang pinapakiusap na baka pwedeng tanggalin na lang yon para makasave tayo, yung pondo na yon, itulong na lang sa mga mahihirap. I will always say, hear a response, yes, yes, yes. Pero Mr. Chair, hanggang ngayon, tila nasa mall pa rin yung Philhealth. The reason that was given to us before, mas maganda daw po pag nasa mall, baka po merong mga walk-in na magpa-enroll sa Philhealth. Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, I would even appreciate it more if you have a clinic in the mall rather than an office in the malls. So is this still ongoing? Please answer. May mga opisina pa ba kayo sa mga rented buildings, sa mga malls? Kasi ang naging usapan natin, matagal na. In fact, I even volunteered and showed to you that it is possible by talking to the town of Gimbal, my hometown, and requesting the LGU to a portion, a space in the covered ko sa munisipyo, isang opisina doon na pinaayos namin, pinagamit sa Philhealth, free of charge. And we had several meetings and we told you, why don't you ask for a free space or a free office in each provincial capital or in each city hall para wala na kayong rental and you will be near to the services because many people would go to these government offices. I don't know, Mr. Chair, bakit gusto mag-opisina sa mall?
Honorable Green, can we go to the last question? Would there be a reply to Honorable Green, yung opisina sa malls? Go ahead, VP
Dennis Mas, sir.
Dennis Mas.
Nung na-assign ako sa Philhealth Region 6, nag-open ho kami doon, ma'am, ng office doon sa town of Gimbal. So, na-establish yung office na yon. So, hanggang ngayon, ay parang service desk siya. Yung
May bayad po ba yun o wala?
Alam ko, ma'am, operational pa yun hanggang ngayon.
Yes.
Kaya sa likod ng, ano ba yun, parang gymnasium yun.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, my question to Dr. Dennis Mas, may rental ba yun o wala?
Nung araw, ma'am, parang rental ni Mayor Christine. Yun yung pagkaalala ko.
Meron o wala?
Parang meron, ma'am.
Pagkakalam ko kasi wala.
Sige. Check ko lang kasi medyo matagal na 2011 o 2012 pa.
So it is a replica, it is an example wherein you can actually hold offices under government offices at no cost to the members of the Philippine Health Insurance.
And some LGUs are volunteering para palapit yung services namin sa kanilang constituents. So nagpapalibre sila sa mga offices nila. Nandoon yung Philhealth. Yung dinadala na lang natin yung computer sa tao. Kasi gusto rin nila yun, especially sa mga one-stop shop. Pero yung mga regional offices naman natin ngayon ay naghahanap rin ng malipatan na mas maganda, hindi binabaha, spacious, and then usually ground floor. And we are also updating our guidelines para maging responsive
Mr. Chair.
Convenient sa members.
Mr. Chair, if I may, kasi wala pa po ako sa Philhealth dati, nasa probinsya pa lang po ako, paulit-ulit po kami nagtatanong kasi yun po ang sagot kailangan ng spacious office, kailangan maraming tao, kaya dapat sa mall. Napakamahal po ng rental sa mall. Yung mga nagpapa-enroll naman, Mr. Chair, ng Philhealth, wala naman sa mall Kung ako ay magkakasakit at kailangan kong magpa-reimburse o meron akong katanungan sa Philhealth, hindi ako pupunta sa mall. I'll go to the hospital. So my question, Mr. Chair, is this. For the past several decades na pinag-uusapan natin, stop renting expensive offices. Stop renting malls and buildings. Nag-offer na nga ang mga governors. They have spaces in the provincial capitals. City mayors are giving you offices. You can share the office of the DOH regional offices. You can also hold office in the LG. Bakit kailangan magbayad sa mall? So my question is this, can you now commit under oath that all these offices will be terminated? Kasi sabi niyo, okay ma'am, next year.
Honorable Green, maybe what we should do is ask the board as a matter of policy na gawin po nila yan so that this will be followed by the executive officers. Yes, Mr. Mas.
Sir, some info, no? Kahit dito man ako na-assign before sa NCR, ang Robinson talaga nag-offer ng free space sa Philhealth. Ang tawag dito, Lingkod Pinoy. Libre ho yun lahat. Dito sa NCR, dyan sa Taguig, binigyan tayo ng SM. Dito sa SM, yung doon sa Aura, dito rin sa SM North. Mga libre ho yun. Pero totoo yun, may mga LGUs talaga na nag-offer doon sa...
So Mr. Chair, libre lahat ng pwesto sa malls?
ma'am.
Walang bayad kuryente, walang bayad
Except
tubig?
kung ganun kalaki talaga ng Region 6, napakalaki talaga ng regional office na yun eh. Pero kung mga ano lang...
Sir, sorry clarify ko lang. Yung Region 6, libre rin yan?
may bayad yun talaga ma'am kasi
May bayad yan.
napakalaki na talaga.
So minsan may bayad, minsan walang bayad. O pwedeng libre yung maliit na pwesto, pero may bayad yung malaking pwesto.
Yung maliliit ma'am nasa malls, libre yun talaga. Pero kung regional offices talaga ng mga 2,000 square meters, mga 3,000, hindi na kaya. May bayad
Mr.
talaga.
Chair,
At saka dinadaan
just to
sa
clarify,
public.
I'm not referring to promotional booths. Bumabalik po kasi tayo, sir Ang nangyayari kasi, pagka may problema, either hindi natin tinatanggap na may problema o naghahanap tayo ng palusot. Kasi sinasabi niyo ngayon, libre siya. These are promotional booths. Yung nandoon ka sa gitna ng mall or meron kang pwesto doon or sa hallway and you promote Philhealth. Sinong gustong magpa-enroll? Yun po ang libre. Pero yung mga malalaking opisina, may bayad yun. It's in your budget.
Ang point ni Honorable Garin po, hindi po yung promotional booth nga, kundi yung opisina talaga. At any rate, Honorable Garin, maybe we can ask the board na kasama natin ngayon na gawin na nila yung policy so that the executive can also follow at wag na po magkaroon ng maging problema tong, because it's a very good suggestion na magamit talaga natin yung mga public offices for that. So if we may have the commitment of the board to assist us on this as part of our cost-saving measure for Philhealth. Yes, ma'am.
On my part, Mr. Chairman, naisip ko lang yung advantage of being in the mall. Kasi ngayon ko lang din naman narinig yan, being new in the board. Pero hindi kaya, gusto ko lang munang tignan the advantage of going to the mall. Kasi maraming tao dun sa mall. Kaya iniisip ko, it is accessible to people. Kaya baka yun ang reason.
Yeah.
Okay,
At saka hindi rin lang, kung malayong office, hindi pupuntahan ng tao yun.
Okay,
Pero
ma'am.
kung sa mall doon, even churches now, they go to the mall.
Ma'am, let's do this,
Mr. Chair.
Baka yun lang yung nakikita ko lang I'm sorry.
Yes, madam. This is not the venue to debate on this. Pero yung point po ni Honorable Garin, pag-aralan po natin yan because ang intent natin is bawasan yung cost ng ating ng
Mr.
PhilHealth.
Chair.
So maybe if you can look at this as a policy because you are part of the board. Honorable Garin?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, if I may, ma'am, tama po kayo. Ngayong mall, maganda siya kasi maraming tao. But we're talking about PhilHealth here. Yung transaction po ng PhilHealth, online yun. Kapag ikaw yung empleyado, kinakaltasan yung sahod mo, nire-remit ng iyong employer papunta sa PhilHealth through the bank. Am I right? Pagka naman yung PhilHealth magbabayad, online naman, pinapadala naman dun sa account ng hospital o sa account ng mga clinics or doctors. In other words, the foot traffic, while it is high in malls, is not conducive for PhilHealth kasi wala naman talagang walk-in na nagpapa-enroll sa PhilHealth. Napakakonti. Yung mga nagpapa-enroll ng PhilHealth, either employee ka or grupo kayo, and if you look at the pros and cons, vis-a-vis the rental, walang pumupunta ng PhilHealth na magpa-reimburse ng gastusin.
Honorable
You do
Garin.
it in the hospital.
Ma'am, Honorable Green, I don't think this is the time to debate on the rental policy of Philhealth. You would have your own time in the board to discuss that. And Honorable Green, may I remind you of the time? Maybe we can go to the last question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My last question is this. Paulit-ulit po kasi, nung inaudit ang PhilHealth, paulit-ulit pong rason ng ginawa na ninakawan ko raw ng 10.6 billion ang PhilHealth at nilipat sa DOH. For the record, Mr. Chair, that is a big lie. But this lie was made because there was collusion among officers in PhilHealth to divert the attention of the board. Bago kasi yung mga dumating na board dinivert yung attention para hindi nila malaman yung katotohanan. But what is the truth? First, the 10.6 billion is not PhilHealth funds. Yung totoo po dyan, Mr. Chair, I'm saying this because I learned we have new members of the board. I had 3 representations before the Department of Budget and Management during that time. Because the officers of PhilHealth told me, mauubos ang pondo dahil hindi sila binabayaran ng DBM. So I went to DBM, very proud, asking for the payment. Nagagalit na nga ako, sabi ko, bayaran niyo yung PhilHealth. To my surprise, on the 3rd meeting, para po akong binuhusan ng boiling water. Nanliit po ako at nahiya ako sa sarili ko. Because DBM told me front, ma'am, pwede ka naming makausap, wala kang mga kasama dito sa maliit na kwarto. And they showed me, gustuhin na namin bayaran yung sinasabing 10 points, malaki po yun, I think 30 billion. Itong mga iba, hindi ito totoong miyembro. At ito yung pinapabayaran ng miyembro para i-justify yung 10.6 billion because it's there as a program fund. Laking gulat ko nung makita ko that the list of members there are existing members. Ibig sabihin, miyembro na, ginawa pa ulit na miyembro. Binago-bago lang yung mga pangalan. This is the worst thing. They carve out the names of the dependents of PhilHealth members. Ibig sabihin, kung si Congressman Mike Defensor, meron siyang akasawa, Mrs. Danica Fernandez, example lang po yan. Ay hindi, Defensor mag-asawa pala, dapat parang apelyido, sorry. So, yung mag-asawa, meron yung mga anak. At yung mga anak, miyembro ng PhilHealth kasi anak nila. Kinuha yung mga pangalan ng mga anak o kinuha yung mga pangalan ng mga asawa at nire-enroll. Ano po ang direksyon nun? Gusto lang kunin ang pera sa DBM, but there will be no new enrollments, no new members, because they just want to get the money para pagtakpan yung mga nawawalang pera sa PhilHealth. And lastly, Mr. Chair, I would very much like to initiate again reforms in PhilHealth. So if the honorable officers of PhilHealth here can bring out all the reforms we did, put it back, do not deceive the members of the board, do not deceive the PhilHealth president. Dahil paulit-ulit po ito na nangyayari. This is worse than a pandemic because the pandemic comes every 100 years. Sa inyo, every time may bagong na-appoint, dinideceive nyo. Mr. Chair, I have 2 very important proposals to cleanse PhilHealth. And almost all of you here are aware of that. First, individual enrollment. Pagkapanganak, miyembro. Pag namatay, tanggal sa lista. Meron naman tayong National Statistic Authority Pwedeng mas mababa ang premium. That's why we incorporated that in the 2017 proposed budget. I was the one who defended the PhilHealth budget for 2017, kaya yan lumaki because computed doon individual membership. When I left they pretended it was forgotten. Kasi ang totoo lang, there is a study in Philhealth, marami yung hindi enrolled. Kasi kapag ikaw ay minor at naging sobra ka na at 21 years old, natatanggal ka na din sa membership ng magulang mo. Pagka ako in-member, dahil dependent ako ng asawa ko, nawalan ng trabaho yung asawa ko, wala na rin akong membership. So let's do it individual para mawala yung mga pangalan dyan na hindi totoong tao. O mga totoong tao pero ginawan ng pangalan 2 beses, 3 beses, 5 beses. Next, you have to outsource your legal office and your finance department should be independently seen. IT, yes, it has been always a problem, but most of it is intentional. When we tried to automate Philhealth, kaliwat kanan na bugbog, ang suntok-suntok ang natanggap ko. Bottom line is this. Since 2001, I was not yet in Congress. I stood up and fought against cataract fraud, citing the collusion between Philippine Postal Office and some officers of Philhealth. Nagkaroon ng Seacrest report. It is a Bible indicating how fraud is being done. Unfortunately, all of the copies are missing up to this point of time. That study was commissioned by DOH in the early 2000s. Nagkaroon ng reforms ng 2004, nawala ulit, binalik yung reforms ng 2006, nawala ulit, binalik yung reforms ng 2014 and 15, nawala ulit. It will always be a repeated cycle. Talking about universal healthcare law, Mr. Chair, napakaganda ng batas na ito. But that will lead us to nowhere. If the people who has been continuously deceiving the minds of those who does not understand health financing, wala tayong mapupuntahan. Kaya ang tanong ko, Dr. Ish, you have been in Philhealth for 21 years.
We have a curfew.
Yes, Mr. Chair, did you ever do cash advance refund for Yolanda? Kasi yan ang talaga yung reason. Okay.
May cash
the reason,
advance po ba sa Yolanda? Yung ginagawa natin ngayon sa
IRM.
COVID, sa IRM.
May IRM din po in 2013 for the Yolanda.
May cash advance po.
How did we...
Ang sinasabi nyo kasi, nag-IRM kayo kasi ginagawa na yan dati pa. By the term alone, interim reimbursement mechanism. Cash advance is never a mode of payment in any insurance facility. It is not a mechanism of payment in Philhealth. I am 2,000% sure of that. So ngayon, ba't mo sinasabi na meron ng IRM dati? Nagkaroon ba ng precedence? Was there ever a cash advance released during calamities? Mr. Chair, I don't think we will get the right answers. I just do hope that we will all have the conscience to cleanse Philhealth. I rest my case. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Honorable Garin. I think